So if you're watching this, we're back. The Jays won 5-4, and that sucked. We're going to be talking about the injuries because, of course, that had to happen. Remember we were saying that like Trent Grisham would have value if they traded him tomorrow, essentially. Well, tomorrow happened, and now he's injured and probably won't have value. Austin Wells is dealing with a circulatory issue, and Fernando Cruz, while Jose Trevino is over there with the Reds hitting 300 because he's not a Yankee anymore. Fernando Cruz is now going to be on the IL for the second time, so that's not great. We're going to talk about Volpe's incompetence in the field and at the dish. We're going to talk about Jazz, the good and the bad, and we're going to talk about Bellinger and Rodon. So before we dive into that, though, just want to remind you guys, if you are enjoying our show, right, you want to help us out, just hit the thumbs up button. It really goes a long way, because it shouldn't go a long way. Really, what should happen is if you sit here and you watch for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, YouTube should probably be like, you know what? I think they like that video, but they don't do that. I think auto likes should exist, but they don't. So
yeah, I would agree. And also make sure you subscribe because we are doing a giveaway. So nice work on the button. But make sure you subscribe and hit that bell to be notified. At 10,000 subscribers, we will be giving away a Yankees jersey, home or road, of your choice. Could be any player. So we're looking forward to giving that away. We just passed 7,000 subscribers. But Jake, are we starting off with Volpe? Is that where we wanted to start?
Well, let's just start off by saying this. June is over. It's officially over for the Yankees. They will not play another baseball game in June. With that said, you know what they finished June with? A 13-14 record. Below 500.
Are we a good July team?
I don't know.
Because I know our schedule is tough. I don't know if you've taken a peek.
Oh, I have.
It's a tough schedule, and you got to be up for the task.
Is it 26? The next 26 of the next 32 games are against above 500 teams. That's hilarious. That's ridiculous.
Honestly, good.
Yeah,
good.
You can't play down to your opponent when your opponent's better than you are, or at least as good as you are. So, yeah, no, I agree. All right, let's talk about it. And we'll just dive right into this super chat here. Can Volpe? Well, not. I don't want him to get injured. I did not read that correctly.
Yeah, we're not endorsing
good Lord.
The super, but it does kick us off.
Yeah. So anyway,
he sends the message.
Whoosh, canceled. All right. Anyway, Anthony Volpe. No, I don't want Anthony Volpe to get injured. I just want him to sit on the pine. Okay. I'm tired of him too, but I'm not tired of him personally because I have no issue with him personally. But when I watch him play, it's just there's always something. And today, he made an absolute no-no. That throw to third base was horrific, Gary.
I was going to ask you if you could believe it, but I'd imagine, considering I asked you to do this podcast, how much Yankees baseball you've watched.
As soon as he got up, I was like, I know exactly where this ball's going, and I don't like it at all. And it was just like the World Series, but it was worse. So, no. I don't want to see Volpe throwing to third base to Jazz Chisholm. I don't want to see it ever again. I see every time he goes over, he looks at third, Gary. I don't care if he's clearly going to get him. By the way, I don't remember the time he's ever gotten that force out or the tag, ever. But the first thing I think of is the World Series, Game 5 against the Dodgers. Because that was the inning from hell. And I don't know why Volpe can't make that throw, but you know what? He can't make the throw. It's like having a quarterback can't hit the deep ball downfield, and you still keep calling deep throws down the field, and he gets picked off. And you're like,
yeah, you should definitely work to your strength.
Yeah,
and by the way,
stop calling that.
I don't care how nice he is. I do hear this a lot about he's this Jersey story. And he loves the Yankees, grew up a Yankees fan. I know other Yankees fans probably care about these storylines. I only care about these storylines when I get good baseball. He could be the nicest guy in the world. He can go be Bob Ross for all I give a rip. I don't care who he is. Go out there and perform. When someone hits you a ground ball, field the baseball, make the throws. If there's no throw to be made, hold the ball. That's also part of playing baseball. That's also part of the job of shortstop. And it's not easy to do. Like, we still have to hire guys with a ton of talent to do this. But why am I having a guy out there who can't even be trusted when not to throw the ball? Just do less. The play at that point, nice stop to your backhand, do nothing after that. Play's over. And all of a sudden, and Jake, you mentioned it, he stands up. You knew exactly what he was doing. You knew exactly what was going through the mind of Anthony Volpe. It just seems like he's playing 100 miles an hour. So I'm actually going to tee up something. I didn't even tell you this, Jake, that I was actually going to offer this opinion. I genuinely believe, and people are saying that Anthony Volpe should be sent to the sun, to Guadalajara, to just traded to another planet. I genuinely believe this, and I still think that he can develop as a player. I think Anthony Volpe should have been sent down to the minor leagues during his rookie season. I think there was more development to be had with this player, and we just shortcutted that process. I don't think he was ready to play. I genuinely believe this. He should be sent down to the minor leagues and develop. That includes a tweaking of his batting stance. This includes maybe moving positions to a position physically that he can play, as in second base. It does not make sense to me that we continue to roll out this player, and I get it. The Yankees don't have another option in the short term. So they're forced to throw this player out there every day, and he still has the physical attributes to go out there and help you win. The problem is the level of consistency, Jake, that helping you win is so just few and far in between. It's like every 30 or 40 days, Volpe does something to help us win a game. That's not often enough. It's bad.
No, it's not great right now. And I don't think it's going to get much better because, you continue to bring it up. He's now had 1,600 at-bats, more than 1,600 at-bats. Plate appearances, he's had close to 1,500 at-bats. So over 1,600 plate appearances. And he's got a 674 career OPS. He's got a 293 on base percentage. You can say, well, his rookie year wasn't very good. Okay, well, his second year in the league, he hits just kind of the average 243. That's league average, batting average, 657 OPS. So really, he's not much of an offensive shortstop. And then this year, the OPS is higher because he's hit more home runs than he did last year because he stopped flattening out his swing. But torpedo bat or not, and I know he still uses it, it's not helping. He's hitting 229. He hits 228 for his career. This is not a player that is improving. And I said it today, and I tweeted it out today. It feels like his arm strength is regressing. Like, I've never seen a 24-year-old at short where the arm strength feels like he's getting weaker. Like, it's just, he's a hard watch, man. He really is.
He's aging like Benjamin Button. This dude is like, he's not. He is genuinely, it's not making sense because I've never seen a 24-year-old regress physically. I've never seen it before. So what are we talking about with this player? And by the way, I do want to address something because clearly not everyone is rooting. We're not rooting against him. But what we are going to do is talk about who he is over the long term. And who he's been long term is this mediocre offensive asset, and then defensively it's declining. Well, you can't be both. You can't be declining in both areas. Otherwise, I can say you shouldn't be on the field. But I'm going to say this. There are going to be people who listen to us today and say, well, why are you talking about Volpe and leading off the show with this? He's not the only reason we lost this game. He's not the only person who made a mistake. Ascar had 2 catchers interference. Those are 2 big plays. And you'd be right. But you know what? There's no baseball game ever where one player technically had lost you the game. But they're pretty damn important. Don't you guys think in the World Series, Garrett Cole not covering first base was an important play? It probably cost us the game. Probably. But he wasn't the only guy to make mistakes. There were other mistakes in that game, and yet we covered it. So Anthony Volpe, unfortunately, is just a player that we're all hoping can just get better. But at this point, I feel like a fool even sitting here asking people for patience or suggesting that something different's going to happen, because we've now watched this for a while. This is not this short-term, short sample size. We've had enough time to watch him. And so far, what Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone are selling us is something different than what the Yankees are actually getting. And this race, personally, I don't think this race in the AL East should be nearly this close. It'd probably be a bigger gap if we actually had a competent shortstop.
I agree. By the way, complaining works. You know why?
Why?
Because we just did a whole episode where I think we complained over and over and over again about the handles, and they're gone.
Oh, no, they are not.
Yes, they are.
You are joking me.
I am not
We are
kidding
back.
you. We are so back.
Welcome back.
Now, I
Oh,
don't
by
have
the way,
to
we
just-
have a new member. So let's read. I love this. I can't wait to read the chat now. So Slim
Yeah,
Lewis
this
with the
is
super
great.
with the 5. Slim, thank you for this.
Appreciate you, Slim.
I already know Jake and I both disagree with this, because trust me when I tell you, we don't love the DJ contract. So he's saying DJ LeMahieu's contract is a killer. Essentially, the Yankees are such a poorly run organization that they spend their way out of being the White Sox. Now, mind you guys, spending should help you a ton. If every team in baseball could spend $300 million as opposed to just not, they'd be much better. I think we can all agree on that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to say this. Technically, the Yankees make so much money, DJ's contract should not matter. It just shouldn't. They can outspend the problem, as you bring up, right? They can spend a boatload. Why would DJ LeMahieu's $15 million a year contract hamstring your organization worth billions of dollars? Why should that ever happen? It shouldn't. So,
No.
Slim, is it a contract that's aged well? No, I can't say it's aging like milk, because he's giving us something this year. But overall, are we getting what we paid for? No. But Jake, how do you feel on this?
Yeah, I understand being annoyed by his contract, but I mean they have just spent poorly on players. I mean Marcus Stroman's getting 18, and he just had a good day the other day. But
Hey, don't cut him short. It's $18.5 million.
oh, my bad.
It gets worse.
Yeah, but they. I mean, I don't want to say they're like such a poorly run organization. I mean, there's so many worse organizations out there, but I get what people are saying. So, Slim, appreciate the super. I think LeMahieu is the least of our concerns right now. I understand that a lot of people had assumed he would be a big concern right now. He is, in fact, not. When I see LeMahieu at the plate, I think there's a chance. When I see Volpe at the plate or Austin Wells at the plate, I'm just praying. So,
Do you know my phone actually will buzz in my pocket like 3 or 4 times every single time Anthony Volpe steps into the box? Every single time. My phone buzzes off the hook. Before he even makes contact with the baseball, my phone is alerting me. It's insane. That's how difficult it's been to watch this, because not only we've seen bad baseball before, right? Like we've seen Heine, we've seen Sonny Gray, we've seen bad ball. We have. It's not like we're naive to that, but very rarely are we watching someone play bad baseball for an extended period of time, and then someone's trying to salesman you that it's good. Oh, it's better than what you're seeing. I'm like, I promise you, I've watched enough baseball. I'm not some wizard. I'm not in any front office. Okay, I'm not going to claim I'm smarter than what I am. But what I do know is this is not a very good baseball player. So why are you trying to sell me on something different when my eyeballs at Yes Network, they tell me a clear story of what I'm watching?
Yeah, it's funny because, I have a group chat with my parents because they watch all the games. And my mom texts me, Volpe should be sitting on bench, in my opinion.
And this is like a relatively new Yankees fan. My mom's the same way. My mom didn't watch Yankees baseball. She's a Padres fan, diehard Padres fan, living there. And it's like they can watch this and say, hey, I don't really know your roster. At the beginning, very beginning, my mom would text me and be like, why? What's the deal? What actually the word choice you use? What's the hype on this? What is the hype with this player? Because I know what a good young player looks like. We've got Jackson Merrill. That's what a good young player looks like. Like you're excited We want to potentially sign him. Could you imagine if the Yankees front office came out and said, we want to extend Anthony Volpe and lock him up long term?
Oh, my God. It'd be like Aaron Hicks.
It would be worse. I promise you, I think
it'd be about the same.
This podcast, I would change it to some other. It would be Padres Unloaded. I would change teams. I promise you.
I just like all right, Gary, we do it Yankees Unloaded, and there's just Padres Unloaded. Like, what the hell's this?
I would
like,
scribble
I've
it
changed
out.
your team for you.
Right. So you see how ridiculous of a concept it is. And by the way, I don't want to gloss over this. Big D,
yes.
Thank you for becoming a member at Yankees Unloaded. Greatly appreciated. Awesome. And Kyle with the super. God, I just love seeing names now and not just Kyle 46584. So Kyle with the 5, also
what up, Kyle?
A mod for us as well. So thank you for doing so. Says, I'm done with Volpe. Strong words there. Get him off this team. Who do the Yankees call up if Grisham is going to the IL? So, Jake, I think this tees up, actually, a beautiful opportunity for a certain someone in this organization. And that player, a couple weeks from now, maybe not right this second, but 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month from now, that player could be Spencer Jones. What do you think about the idea? He just got to AAA, right? He was raking. His ops was over 900.
Yeah.
You'd been messaging me every day about some updates as to how he's playing. And, of course, I was taking a peek. But now you start to look at that. Injuries are starting to play a role in what's going to happen with this roster. Do you think Spencer Jones has any chance to be called up in Grisham's place?
I do, but there would have to be a corresponding move, moving him onto the 40-man roster. I don't think it'd be that hard, but you know how they make a big deal about, like, Braden Shoemake is on the 40-man roster. I don't even... Who? I saw him, Braden Shoemake. I saw him in spring training. And then, what's his face? Brian De La Cruz, who, I'm going to be honest with you, it's over for him. It's over. I'm sticking a fork in him. I was excited about them picking him up. He showed some things on the Marlins. He's not hitting well in AAA at all. So personally, I would have no issue moving Spencer Jones to the 40-man roster, which I think they will ultimately do regardless, so they can bring him up if need be in September. But I would say, to your point, if he continues to hit well, Bryce Harper was called up from AA, okay? You don't have to be in AAA. You don't.
And there's no rule against it. So
yeah. So, I mean,
certainly
he could be called up. Yeah. And I would probably guess if he does get called up, we're not going to see him for a bit. But it's probably going to be Everson Pereira, who was on, I think I had mentioned this. He was on the paternity leave. Yes Network brought it up. At the same time, Escara was on paternity leave, so he wasn't called up because of that. So, yeah, I think it would be Pereira. And then, you know, would Pereira get some burn every now and then, be a nice, pinch runner opportunity? Sure. But I think when you call up Spencer Jones, now it's more... See, like, if you don't wait until September, right, you kind of have to play him, no? So I feel like that's kind of the predicament and why the Yankees might opt not to do that, because I could see them deciding to be like, you know what, Spencer Jones, we actually aren't going to trade him. We like him a lot more. We're laughing at all the bloggers out there that have us trading him because we're not going to. But we're not going to call him up early because we want him to get reps instead of him sitting the pine 4 times out of the week. And
it is interesting because there's
that.
not really any way for him to get reps anyway. If you think about,
well, in
let's just say
AAA.
what I'm saying is if you do call him up, say next year, you get rid of Goldschmidt. Mm-hmm. The only way Dominguez would have to move to center field, right?
Yep.
You would have to not sign Kyle Tucker, like deliberately make the choice to not go after him. So now you have Judge, Dominguez, and now Spencer Jones in your outfield. So that's the interesting part of all this, is that there's no runway for him to play every day. And I know for a fact our audience and most audiences in any podcast for this team would be pissed off if Spencer Jones shows up hitting the way he's hitting in AA. He gets jumped up to AAA. Obviously, you've seen this change in his stance, right? Everything he's doing, he's able to run. His
legs going out the door.
We've talked about the defense and the difference in terms of how much better it is than even Jason Dominguez. Well, you don't want to bring up a player like that, and then you have no use for him. And we were actually just talking about how we would like the idea of trading a Trent Grisham, obviously before the injury, because now it gives you an opportunity to create some runway for some other guys to play. So I don't know. It's tough. Yeah, Ninja Hot Dog. I even forgot his name was Ninja Hot Dog. Totally forgot.
I love
because
the dog,
handles.
though.
Yeah, the handles. I'm so glad they're gone. So we do rejoice. CMed14 says this I will not agree with. I will not. As much as I love Peraza's defense, and Jake was first on this defense, he was, and then of course I saw it second over DJ. Every day DJ has no range, and you're right, he doesn't have great range, but he seems sure-handed to me, and most importantly, this is why he's also out there. The bat is not that bad. We can't just gloss over what DJ is doing offensively. Now, he's not hitting 340. We know that. But Peraza's not hitting a lick. So that's why he's not playing, guys. If Peraza could hit, Yes Network brought this up. Michael K brought it up. Man, if this guy could just figure out with the bat, we have a solution here. We can use him as our utility guy, but right now, he's sort of this defensive stopper who can't really hit a lick.
Let me put it this way. DJ LeMahieu is hitting 9th today. He's batting 239. Like, what do you know what I mean? Like, that's fine. That's totally fine.
And it also went down to that. At one point, it was 260. So
yeah. Well, and
it's not
he
great.
gets 2 knocks tomorrow, and it probably is 260, right? So,
right.
All jokes aside, I mean, it probably goes up to like 247 maybe.
But it's not good. But you're comparing it to offensively what Peraza is giving you, and it's much worse. So.
And I've defended Peraza for a while, but I told you, I mean, the time is now. When you get brought up and you get opportunities, doesn't really matter anymore that they screwed you over. Doesn't matter anymore that they ruined you. Now you really have to step up. I am telling you right now, I 100% believe Peraza is going to be replaced on this roster. That's without a doubt. That's not a surprise to anybody. They're either going to get somebody at the deadline or B-Boss is going to replace him, and he is going to make a run at actually playing second base over LeMahieu. I think he could turn that into a timeshare. They've been working with him, and I think you've seen some really good things out of him in AAA. Okay, he's hitting really well. He's still got a good glove. He can play second. He can play third. He can play short. I don't sleep on B-Boss. There's a reason why they traded a former first-round pick and Trey Sweeney to go out and get him. They wanted him. That's a guy
I hope you're
they
right,
identified.
but I'm in my sleeping bag on B-Boss.
No, I'm not.
I liked his approach.
I'm not saying he's going to be a franchise second baseman by any stretch, but I'm saying this year, don't sleep on him to come back up. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, I believe that, because you have to imagine they did
Yeah.
call him up for some reason. They usually, if they don't have any wishes to play a player, they literally will let him rot. We've seen that. Like, we've just seen it with this organization. And I'm going to touch on the last thing that was said here because we didn't get to it. Jazz not being a third baseman. Obviously, you saw a ball go under his glove today. The broadcast did speak on this, that long-term Jazz will make his way back over to second base. It's just a matter of when. It wasn't really a report, but it was just an assumption. And that's the assumption I get as well, right? DJ's not going to be here forever. This player, as long as he's performing and he's healthy, everyone should want Jazz on this team. There's just way too much to gain. He's a high ceiling, and what we saw at the very beginning of this year, a low floor player. But part of our job as an organization is to raise that floor with coaching, with discipline, right? With leadership. Are you guys asking Jazz to lead himself? He's not a leader. He wasn't voted captain. He wasn't voted any of these things anywhere he's played. So as an organization, when you see a guy with a type of ceiling that we saw flash today, right? You see him leave the park, and unfortunately we saw him try to drop down a bunt. There were some good and some bad, but that's what comes with coaching. If you coach this guy the right way, he should be a part of your organization. I assume Jazz will be at second base long term, but yeah, in the meantime, if the Yankees don't want him over at third base, you're going to have to go get one. So, yeah.
I mean, give me that 839 OPS all day, right? I mean, there you go.
He's not that bad at third. If he's not that bad at third base where that type of offensive production, I mean, let's be real, guys. Do you want someone who's good at third base, or do you want someone who's going to have an ops of 850?
Well,
the harder thing to find is the offense.
I also push back on he's not good at third base. Right now, his like whatever the analytic thing on Savant has, he is a 0. So they're saying that he's just average, right?
He's a wash.
That's not bad. That's actually fine, right? Especially when you have all of these moving pieces. Like the Yankees don't have their franchise second baseman. Their first baseman is going to be different next year. Will probably end up being Ben Rice. Shortstop has been a major regression. And Jazz is playing in his second position this year when he was top 3 at second base. When I looked at that same analytical measurement, he was top 3 at second base.
It's okay to be mediocre, by the way, defensively at third, provided the context that you're raking. If Jazz is hitting 210 and his ops looks something like 745, then that league average defense at third base, I'll be right behind you to complain about it. I will. I genuinely have no problem with that. If people think that defense needs to be better, like for example, a guy like Suarez out of Arizona, people are still asking to trade for him. Not necessarily us all the time, but other organizations want that as well. You know why? Because he's leading the league in home runs in the National League. I think it was like somewhere up there. So he can hit, right? You can compensate for that defense. So I think Jazz is doing enough defensively where the bat can play. I don't have a problem. Yeah. So Big Nick, is this, so Yankee fangirl for life with the 2. Thank you for supporting the channel. Is this the longest yard, Big Nick, I believe, right?
I have no idea.
I believe so. Yeah.
But we appreciate you,
certain.
Yankee fangirl for life. Thank you for the super.
Soulmate, huh? So Apex with the super, with the 2, says silver lining. Jason Dominguez and Ben Rice leads for the next 3 games. So do you think because of this injury, it's just problem solved? We now have our everyday players, right? Grisham's out of the picture. This is not how we wanted it to go. It's just not.
No.
But
and we don't know for
hindsight,
sure he's out of the picture. We're speculating based on what he said. And I want to read that so people have that context, Gary.
Please do, because it sounded atrocious. He made it sound like he was.
it's anytime you hear this type of explanation, let's just say everything just went south. Yeah. So Grisham got his cleat caught. Shout out to Greg Joyce. I think he does a great job covering the Yankees. Yes. Grisham got his cleat caught underneath him while going for the sinking liner in the 4th. Remember, he kind of pulled up and still kept it in front of him. So that was the play. Said he's dealt with hamstrings before, but this felt different. Too early to know how severe. Not good. I'm just going to tell you right now. If a player ever utters the words, but this felt different, oh my God, run to the hills. That is not good. I think Grisham goes on the IL at the very least. I don't know what that looks like. Is it, is he long-term? I don't know, but he goes on the 10-day IL to start, right? Now you have a spot open. You also have a spot open because Cruz just went on the IL, right? For the inflammation.
Jake, you and I might end up on the team.
I mean,
if everything keeps bouncing this way.
And then who's the other? Oh, Austin Wells. I just saw like the craziest quote on Austin Wells. Okay, so Brian Hoke. Austin Wells says there is damage to an artery in his index finger, likely from repeated impacts of catching pitches, which I've been told that's normal. Like that does happen, I guess, but it just sounds way worse than it actually is. But his quote makes this thing sound awful. Quote, I wasn't too worried, but I just wanted to make sure, Wells said. It just gets cold and changes colors. Now I know it's nothing life-threatening. That doesn't sound like it might not be life-threatening, but I don't think we're going to see this guy like back anytime soon. That does not sound good.
And it very clearly seems like, if you think about this Grisham situation, obviously people are trying to find silver linings. They're trying to say, well, you guys had 4 outfielders who were worthy of playing. And yes, there were a lot of people who were saying, I don't think I'd play Grisham or I wouldn't lead off Grisham. Well, you know what solves that? He's hurt. So now he can't lead off. He can't be out there. Now you get what you want in the way you didn't want it, right? You no longer can trade him. His value probably is at a 0. There's not going to be a team that's going to want to trade for a player who's not going to be ready to play in a few weeks at the at the earliest. But now you're probably going to see Jason Dominguez every day. Right? You're probably going to see Cody Bellinger every day. And when you don't see these players, it's likely because they need a day physically, which is actually what we were asking for in the first place, to just pick the 3 best players and then play them all the time. When they need a day, you give them one. Like, that's how we all kind of thought this would work, but it didn't work that way. So Adam with the super with the 20. Adam, thank you for supporting this channel. We greatly appreciate it. Says Gary, Volpe he's decent at shortstop. I would agree. He is decent. He obviously makes some critical mental errors.
Below average, but
he's slightly below average. But I think being slightly below average is still qualified as decent. Obviously, offense isn't in this equation yet. But the problem is that our hitters throughout the lineup are too inconsistent, and they lack the intangibles. And Ben Rice is done. So I do understand somewhat of the frustration with Ben Rice, because the numbers still, you look up at the batting average, and you're seeing close to Volpe production, right? You're seeing 228. It's not great, and the balls are not falling. You saw hard contact today. It was caught at the wall on a hit and run. It was
so frustrating.
It sucked, but I understand, right? He hasn't put the season together just yet. I get it. But as far as Volpe being decent at shortstop, when you're slightly below average defensively at a position, and it just so happens to be the most important position in the field at this sport, and you don't rake, you're not very good. So part of that conclusion there that says the problem is our hitters throughout our lineup are too inconsistent. The issue that you have there, Adam, is that a player who is decent or slightly below decent defensively just so happens to be a major reason why this lineup is inconsistent. You can't hit 225 as a non-power threat. As a guy who's not a stolen base threat, you've stolen 9 bases. You've been hosed 7 or 8 times this year. So, yeah, he's part of the problem there. But I would agree overall, it feels like we're too inconsistent. But I don't think this offense really, when you peel it back, Jake, and I'm going to kick it over to you, I don't think they're that inconsistent. I think the problem with this offense is they just don't know how to read the room and just understand fundamentals in baseball. When you make the wrong decision fundamentally at the end of games consistently, you want to point the finger at the offense, the pitching, the bullpen. But if you don't know when to run the bases or how to run them, or your infield doesn't know I'm just not going to throw this ball, it's easy to lose games right at the end. So, yeah, I think if we were able to win these games, right, win some extra inning games by just being smarter, not even hitting better, I think that we wouldn't really be picking this offense apart as much as we are. But, man, they play some really, I hate to say it, but it's really just stupid baseball. It is.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. I would say that. And they're not a fun watch. They play a really boring brand of baseball. And it does feel like right now they're not winning small ball baseball games now. Now they're just trying to, hopefully they get that home run, right?
Did you want to talk about that bunt, by the way?
I do.
Because it is small ball related.
Real quick though, I want to defend Ben Rice.
Yeah, go right ahead. Absolutely.
Because I understand the frustration. I think that's what Adam's showing, which I get. But I'm more frustrated because Ben Rice is doing all the things that you want to see. And it is unlucky. I'm watching him drill, pitches deep into center field. I mean, it's just unfortunately, like, you hear Michael K, he hit it on the screws. There's a guy right there. It's like, I understand it's hard to believe. This dude is one of the more unlucky hitters I think I've seen. And I do think eventually it is going to turn around. And I think it has. Like, he's gotten better at that. But, yeah, I'm not worried about Ben Rice. He still has a 324 on base percentage, despite the fact that he has some of the worst luck I've ever seen. I mean, his expected batting average is 293. He's hitting 229. That's incredibly unlucky.
I do think, though, so you mentioned the expected batting average. I'm glad you brought this up. So you mentioned it's 293. It's strictly based on exit velocity and then, of course, like launch angle, right? And so when you consider all these things, technically speaking, if you look at what people practice, like from little league to high school into college, and then hopefully if things go well, you go into minor league ball, you get drafted, and you go into professional. Well, they're practicing hitting the balls to certain areas of the field, right? Every hitter, since they were young, any coach will tell you, hey, the best thing you could do is just hit the ball as hard as you can right back at the pitcher. If you do that, it's going to go really well for you. So it kind of goes to show you that they're not going to be able to directly aim where they hit the ball. That's not how this sport works. There certainly is an aspect of luck. I think we can all acknowledge that. But I think where the frustration comes in is that a lot of folks feel like, yes, hitting the ball hard is good, but you're also in more control than what these analytics are suggesting. They're kind of making it seem like it's just a pure crapshoot that he's hitting 229 and not 293. So I think he probably should be somewhere in the middle, but maybe he could do a better job of, I don't know, not hitting the ball on the ground quite as much, or not hitting the ball. If you see guys are shaded the opposite way, well, if you hit a ball 110 into the left center gap, the guy's going to have a better jump on it to catch the ball. So that's fair. It's the way baseball's played. So do I think he's unlucky? Absolutely. I understand the frustration because part of your job is to hit the ball hard. I can acknowledge that. But another part of your job is to hit the ball hard where they ain't, as they like to call it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because there's a breakdown based on the pitches that he's seen this year, and he's improved in a lot of avenues.
He has.
One specifically, okay? Last year, he was horrendous against the sinker. Horrendous. Now it's his best pitch. He's hitting 400 against the sinker ball, okay? And that's 140 pitches he's seen of that. And I feel like you're seeing more and more, like he's still learning how to hit the curve.
Wait a minute. That just went over my head. You said he's hitting what against the sinker?
400.
Wow, really? And so what is he struggling with?
So what I see here, and this is kind of the funny thing, is his batting average against, say, the fastball, four-seam fastball, 211. So you'd think he's struggling, right? His expected batting average is 331.
Okay.
So,
and you see less four-seam fastballs in today's game. It's mainly going to be
that's the
sinker.
most he's seen for any pitch, 271.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a fastball, but I feel like more times than not, what you do see, people did tell us that he just couldn't hit a slider. Like, do you remember that coverage early on?
Yeah, so, I mean, he's still struggling with that. 187 pitches. He's hitting 170 against it, a 204 expected batting average.
So there you go.
So, I mean, it's way up from last year where he was hitting 111. But, yeah, I mean, they're still definitely, he's not a finished product either. Like, this is his, like, you could argue he's still in his rookie year, technically, right? Because
I would argue that, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, to say Ben Rice is done, that's why I just wanted to defend him here, because he's not done. I actually think there's a lot of growth here left. I would say I think he still has a pretty high ceiling because I think his floor is pretty high considering. And just to assume just because, yeah, he's 25, it should happen. I get that, but like just to come into the league and have that immediate success and then immediately just be shut down and just not look very good and not be relied on. And then all of a sudden now everyone's talking about wanting the guy back that they didn't even want to begin with. And you know, Anthony Rizzo, that's a lot. So then he comes into this year, he changes his game around, and you saw it. He had 10 pounds of muscle, and almost instantaneously, I'm texting every single day during spring training, like, there's 115 off the bat, there's 117 off the bat, and it's like...
Did you see that type of progression from Anthony Volpe? Mind you, if Anthony Volpe's production, what we saw in 2023, I believe it was, in 2023 when Anthony Volpe came out, I thought his production was atrocious. People said, well, he hit 20 homers. That's awesome. I'm like, well, 20 homers is good, provided you're not hitting 200 with that build. That doesn't make sense to me. But I let it go because I said, I'm going to look big picture. When he shows up in 2024, we're going to flatten the swing in spring training. Awesome. I don't want him to just chop the ball into the ground, but I want to see some progression there. The analytics, at the very least, the batting average should uptick, right? The power numbers, if they even stayed the same with an uptick in contact, I would take that. And you can say, I locate production increase. I can see we're trending in the right direction. You can't possibly look at this player and say he's not trending the right direction. He is. So, yeah, the numbers so far, he doesn't have a ton to show for himself. He's still leaving the ballpark at a high clip. He's still driving the ball. He's not slapping the ball the other way. And he also can play multiple positions. So I think he's a major solution. We don't believe that he's done.
No.
And I think, I don't, we're never going to agree that he's done. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Right now, he's on pace to hit 27 bombs this year. So, I mean
to be fair, Austin Wells was also on pace to hit high 20s. And if you hit low 200s, it's not good. It's certainly better. It is. But what we think, I think what we both think, though, the ceiling for this player, I shouldn't even say the ceiling. What I believe next year looks like for Ben Rice, I think it looks like 250, 265 with 30-plus home runs driving at 100. That's who I see in this player now, based on this uptick. So that's what makes me excited. Is it going to maybe materialize right this second? Maybe it shows up later this year. I think that still can happen.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely fair. My thing with the Austin Wells comment is that, I mean, his on-base percentage is 275. Like, I don't really care so much if your average is low if you get on base, right? And if
that's
you
fair.
slug. And that's just a new kind of mentality. I've always been a big, batting average fan. I still look at it, right? I still care about it. But Ben Rice is putting together almost a 500 slugging and a 324 on base percentage. And he has 14 home runs this year, and he doesn't even play every day. So I really like what we've seen out of Ben Rice so far. And the exit velo, as you know, I've become a big fan of that. I mean, his hard hit percentage is in the 95th percentile. Like, anytime he puts the bat on the ball, it's a hard hit ball. So
yeah, what would you call me, a hybrid? Like, I care about the exit velocity. It's definitely a step in the right direction, but I'm a big believer in batting average. I don't need you to hit 300. Not everybody can hit 300, especially when guys are throwing 100 today. It's harder to hit for average today than it's ever been. But having said all that, I can't see 204 with 35 home runs and then say, oh, this is great. Well, the guy who hits 204 with 35 bombs, I'm going to have the audacity to ask him to make a quality out or drop down a bunt? No. He strikes out 200 times. So, yeah, I want to move to this super chat real quick. Slim says, why is the DJ contract such a killer? So he's honing in on this. Man. He says, because, and I think this is valid, despite me disagreeing, he says, because Cashman and Brian Cashman has sucked for over a decade. Stanton over Harper, for example, and Hal is setting an artificial cap. So that is true, Slim. There is a cap on the Yankees, and that cap seems to be floating anywhere between $290 and $300 million. Should that cap exist? No. However, that killer that you're talking about, when you say, oh, this contract killer, the killer you're really looking for is Hal Steinbrenner. He's killing your dreams. If you want this to not matter, ask your owner to invest more money. You trusted your general manager to make the correct decisions. That's why anybody hires a GM. You let him spend your money, and when he spends it incorrectly, don't make us pay by watching a player just roll out there and you won't go spend over the top of it. That's your mistake. That's your screw up. So, Slim, is it ideal for a team on a cap to have a player who's maybe not a key performer on big top dollar? Yeah, it sucks. Like, we're paying $40 million combined between DJ and Stroman. Is that a good thing? No. But having said that, your blame should be shifted towards people who can afford to make this go away, and they choose not to.
No, it's true. It is definitely true. And I think the football guy in me really hates watching the Yankees just sit there where there's no salary cap and it's like they cap themselves. That is hard to look at. That is a hard, especially being that you are the Yankees. You are the first class of sports. You have the most championships. Like, it's frustrating. It is. But, I mean, I guess, we've kind of gotten used to what reality is here on this channel, and it doesn't mean we're not going to be frustrated about it still, but yeah.
Let's actually get to the Jazz bunt, though, before we get to John's super. We'll catch up very quickly after that, but I want to talk about his decision to bunt today. Now, mind you, Earlier in the game, obviously, hits the rocket ship homer. He hit his 14th jack. So clearly, with the slow start, he's right back on it. He's on the horse now. He's well over a 300 hitter now for about a month at this point. Since the injury, Jazz has been electric. And that player got into the batter's box later in the game, saw that electricity, knows exactly who he is, and yet he decided, obviously with Giancarlo Stanton behind him against a lefty, to try and drop down a bunt, to sacrifice his at-bat, I guess, for the betterment of the team. I'm just going to set it up. I want to know what you think, Jake, about this play, what you were thinking when it happened. What are your thoughts?
Man, I had such mixed thoughts on this. Part of me hated it because I'm like, he's the best hitter on the team right now. Like, even though Judge seems to, he's back. He had the 2 home runs yesterday. Right now, there's not a more dangerous hitter in the Yankee lineup than Jazz Chisholm Jr. There's just not.
Probably he and Cody Bellinger. There's not really a close
Bellinger's
second.
right up there too.
Yeah.
So the way I see it is you're trying to win this ball game. You have Judge intentionally walked, and my first thought is Jazz has to be like, he did that. They did that to me twice. I hit a home run in this game. Like, I'm going to make this dude pay. And then he drops down a bunt. And so I'm like, I understood trying to move the runner into scoring position, whatever. But I really felt like they needed to get 2 guys on for Bellinger, right? Or whoever was up at the time. I can't even keep up with the lineup anymore. So the thing that the reason why I had mixed feelings, Gary, is Jazz is the power hitter. He's the slugger here that comes up. Judge is on first. There's no outs. I don't feel like this is a time where you need to sacrifice. If you are Peraza, if you are LeMahieu, bunt. Jazz, I need your bat. So I'm looking at Jazz right now as thank God Jazz is up with a guy on base right now. I'm not looking at him like, oh, thank God Jazz is up. Now he can bunt. So that was the thing that's frustrating.
Yeah,
on the flip side of that, Jazz Chisholm is being a team player here. He is. He is willing to be like, think about this. And this is night and day from earlier in the year. Earlier in the year, everything was a swing and a miss. He was either a home run or a strikeout, right? He was swinging for the fences. And now you see a Jazz Chisholm he's just trying to be a team player. He's just trying to win. Who bunts when they've hit a home run in the same game? Like, that normally doesn't happen. So I like it and I dislike it because I think what it was poor execution as well. I think he saw something and just decided, I don't think it was, relayed to him to bunt. I think he saw something within the defense and was like, I'm going to expose them on this. What I think he was trying to do was drag bunt. And he did not drag bunt correctly. And that's the problem, is that I've done this before. You get some kind of thing in your head when you get to the plate. You see something, you're like, oh, now I'm going to. But the problem is the margin for error on bunting is very slim. So when you go up there, you have to know if you put it in play, it better be a good one. Because if it's not, you're likely out. And another thing here, Gary, is the bunt was so bad, Judge is out at second if they throw the ball to second. Yep. I'm almost convinced that they didn't throw it to second because, like, well, Jazz, we don't want him on base. We don't want Jazz. So they threw it to first, and they're like, we'll just give Judge second because Judge doesn't run like Chisholm. And they probably knew Jazz was going to steal second anyway. So they weren't even going to chance not getting the runner at second. But the reality is the bunt wasn't good, and Judge could have been, taken out at second. So, yeah, it's frustrating because do you see what I'm saying? I'm conflicted. I like where his head's at, but if it was later, earlier in the year, fine. But right now, you are a big focal point of the offense. I can't have you bunting. I can't have Cody Bellinger bunting. I can't have Aaron Judge bunting. We are trying to win this baseball game. I like the small ball approach normally, not when one of your best hitters and one of the only reasons you were in that game to begin with is at the plate.
So obviously when I saw the bunt, I didn't love it because I'm thinking to myself, okay, I saw where your ceiling was. I'm seeing as a hitter how hot you are. You're the hottest hitter on the team, right? Aaron Judge is not Aaron Judge right now. He's just not. And all players, any player in the history of the game goes through this, right? And other players have to pick it up. Cody Bellinger being that guy, Jazz Chisholm being that guy. And so when you step up to the plate, everyone's thinking, well, if you're one of the hottest hitters, why would I want you dropping down a bunt to set up an at-bat for Giancarlo Stanton? And I think there's so many different layers to this decision. Because if you think of the career numbers from Giancarlo Stanton, you really have to ask yourself, and the Yes broadcast did touch on it. They mentioned, well, look at what Giancarlo does against left-handed pitching. And they just so happen to be facing a lefty. So in that moment, Jazz, maybe in his mind, he thought, well, his strength is he's literally generationally wealthy to annihilate left-handed pitching with runners in scoring position and leave the yard. What can I do to set him up for success, regardless of who I am and what I can do? This is kind of that 70% approach that we talked about. It's not just about swings. It's also about not trying to do too much and be the hero on every play. So, mind you, did I think it was the correct decision? No, I didn't. I thought the best thing for the Yankees to win in the short term right then was for him to just go up there and understand, I'm one of the hottest hitters on this team, if not the hottest. But I like the mentality of it. I did. I love the mentality of it because if Jazz overall makes selfless decisions over a 162 season, you're talking about the long term, we're going to win more times than not because of those decisions. But yeah, today, I didn't think it worked. I didn't.
So I do have a quote here on the bunt. Because I saw somebody in the comment section say it was Boone, or Boone might have. It was not Boone. Aaron Boone on Jazz Chisholm's bunt in the 8th inning, quote, I don't hate him doing it for the hit, which is what he was doing there, left on left. As long as he's aggressive doing it for a hit, I'm okay, end quote.
So not himself up, per se, which,
yeah,
even trying to give himself up, the mentality of not being selfish every play, trying to be the hero, is a good thing. But is it the smart thing? Was it the right thing to do? And in that moment, Boone is saying he wasn't trying to give himself up. He's trying to get a hit just in a different way. So, yeah, if that's the context of it and it was just a bad bunt, then I guess it is what it is. And we have a super here.
Though. I'll tell you that.
I'm going to jump forward and then we'll come back to John here because Rocky Sullivan has a super here with a 5. Thank you, Rocky, for supporting the channel. Says, are you guys finally going to agree with me that Jazz is our best leadoff hitter? His numbers since return from injury, approximately 25 games, are absurd. They are. They are
saying
absurd.
That he should lead off, to be fair.
I was going to finish by saying that. Jake has been saying he should lead off. I've been saying I think the Yankees should just go find a player who's used to just leading off all the time, who has a high on-base percentage, who can run, which obviously right now what Jazz is doing, he's accomplishing both of those things. He can run. He's probably our second fastest player on our team other than Jason Dominguez. But Jason Dominguez is 22 years old. Do you trust him at the top of the lineup? The Yankees probably don't. Jazz, on the other hand, you probably could. So I think, Rocky, that this is a valid point of view right now. I think this is something that not only you think, I think Aaron Boone here in the short term, he may take a look at this. He may.
So I'm actually going to push back against it, though. Because I think now that Jason Dominguez is going to play every day, Jason Dominguez should be the leadoff hitter. And here's why.
Okay.
Dominguez is not the best with runners in scoring position. The best thing you can do is get a speedy guy on base, get somebody leading off that works counts, somebody that's athletic, and more importantly, somebody that is in a position to best suit himself. He is not the best with runners in scoring position, but he's really good when there's nobody on base. So to me, I just feel like that sets it up perfectly for him at the top of the order. That's the nice part
about leading off. You don't have to worry about anyone being on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the rest of the game, that changes things, but I get one at-bat guaranteed a game that he is not going to hit when runners are in scoring position and his average is going to be way higher. I'm going to take that. And I think with Jazz, you're talking about a guy who I actually have something here from Clutch Points, I think it is. Yeah. So this is crazy. First 100 games with the Yankees, there's this mini club. You know how we take filters out for the stats and everything. 25 plus home runs, 10 plus stolen bases in first 100 Yankees games. This club includes Babe Ruth, 39 home runs, 11 stolen bases. Alex Rodriguez, 25 home runs, 19 stolen bases. And Jazz Chisholm, 25 home runs and 28 stolen bases. Jazz Chisholm has as many home runs as A-Rod did in his first 100 games. And no one's talking about that. And they're not talking about the fact that he's an astronomically better player than he was on the Marlins. And I think when you look at that player, because Jazz Chisholm, I have right here, in Miami, he had 430 plate appearances in 2024, right? He had 13 home runs and 22 stolen bases. With the Yankees, right, in, let's see here, 2024 and 2025, in 415 plate appearances, he has 25 home runs and 28 stolen bases. He's a much better player. And so obviously that could have something to do with playing at Yankee Stadium, but today he didn't hit a home run at Yankee Stadium. He hit a home run in Toronto. He's been good on the road. He's been good during the day games. He's been good at night. Jazz Chisholm right now is almost too explosive of a player to lead off. It would be like I understand why the Dodgers lead Ohtani off because they want to get him as many at bats as possible.
Philadelphia does the same thing they do with Schwarber, right?
But I think having Jazz bat after Judge, because Boone's obsessed with the lefty righty, all that. I think that is a genius proposition. I really do, because I think Jazz is a great cleanup hitter. I think he is exactly what you want in the cleanup spot. He's 100% who I would want.
Yeah, it's definitely fair. I've just always, from a personal standpoint, this is just my opinion of how I like to do things. I've always liked the idea and the concept of building a lineup. When I see 1, 2, 3, 4, when do I want guys to hit as soon as possible. Now, am I going to hit Aaron Judge leadoff or 2? No, me personally, I'm not. There still needs to be some basic rules that you establish, but I want to see Jazz up into the box as soon as possible. Like, that's just how he's playing right now. And I want to benefit from that, but you do want guys on base. And guys like Cody Bellinger and Aaron Judge is going to get a lot better here in the short term, and he better, given our schedule.
I would say lefty-righty be damned. You want, in my opinion, I don't care. The best 4 that you could do right now, it's very simple. You get one. Well, actually, I don't think it's simple because I think there are different ways you can go about it. But let's just say this.
Well, you said you wanted Dominguez leading off.
Dominguez leads
probably
off.
Want, what, Bellinger?
I want Bellinger or Rice at 2. And whoever's not at 2, they go down to 5. And then I think
Stanton
that choice
is
6.
Probably Bellinger. I would probably go Cody Bellinger right now.
And I like Bellinger there because now you're talking about 2 of the best sprint speed guys on the team. Those are the 2 guys that you're leading off with. Then you got Judge. Then you got pitch to Judge with those guys on base. Judge hits a gapper. Bellinger and Jason Dominguez are scoring from first.
You know what you saw today, by the way? You saw what happened with the intentional walk of Judge. We moved runners into scoring position intentionally to get Judge out of the batter's box. Now, if you don't have speed ahead of Aaron Judge, how are you going to make him pay on a single? You're just going station to station. That's not going to make him pay.
I know.
You don't need extra bases. You don't want to need extra bases to score from second base. That's why having speed in front of Judge is so important. I do like the concept of Dominguez and his skill set at leadoff. It's just whether or not we can trust him to do it. But it doesn't seem like he speeds up at all, so maybe it could work. I want to get to, actually, before we get to the super chat from John, we'll get to it right away. But Jersey Girl became a YouTube member with Yankees Unloaded. Welcome in. Thank you for doing so and supporting the channel. Greatly appreciated. And John with the 5, and finally getting to John. John's like, good Lord, thank you. I said, even if Grisham goes on the IL, Baboon, the clown, will still find a way to sit Dominguez. And, well, Jake, you kind of know how I feel about this. I suggested that somehow, some way, Boone is going to... I've mentioned what's good about him. I've mentioned what's bad. And I just don't trust, regardless of injuries, regardless of circumstances, that they're just going to tee up everyday starts for this player. I want to see that desperately. I want to know what I have in Jasson Dominguez. I want to look up at the end of the season and say his numbers also had the runway of 400 plus at bats, so I at least know what I'm getting heading into October, rather than just saying he's a part-time player or a platoon player. So I won't necessarily just give in that Boone's going to find a way to ruin this, but I think the injury to Grisham really forces his hand to do it the right way now.
Yeah, well, now he can't ruin it. I don't care what anyone says. The only one that can play in the outfield right now that I can even think of is Peraza, because if
Peraza finds his way in left field, guys, just start tagging us in it. As soon as you see the lineup, you might as well just tag Yankees Unloaded. Just start tagging Jake and I, because we will lose our minds. That will be so bad.
That would be self-sabotage. Like, you know how, like, yeah, I've mentioned, oh yeah, self-sabotage. No. They would be going out of their way for whatever reason. I don't know. But no, they're not going to do that. No, Jasson Dominguez from here on out is going to play every day. As long as Trent Grisham is injured, Jasson Dominguez will play every single day. When Trent Grisham comes back, I can't guarantee that. But they're going to call up. So this is what's going to happen, okay? I believe if Grisham goes on IL, which he probably will, Pereira gets called up tomorrow. So Pereira takes his spot. Fernando Cruz already had his spot taken by Jeff Hartlieb, who I've never heard of. He's 31 years old. He had a 7.37 ERA in AAA.
Why do we call up who we call up?
He didn't even get I don't even think he got called. What, he was on Colorado and they got him. I don't even know. I have no idea.
That is with all due respect. How do you look at your minor league roster? And I get it. Like, you don't want to call up your top prospects because then you start service time. You want to play them when they get here. I understand all those things.
Of all people.
But how do you look down there and go, oh yeah, the guy with a 7-something ERA, like the dude comes back to his locker. He's probably going back to the hotel thing. I'm never getting called up. They're like, no. Cruz is hurt. You're up.
And he's probably like, well, I didn't even want to be up.
I'm not ready.
I'm doing crap here. You think I'm going to be better at Yankee Stadium where everybody? But
maybe he's Will Warren. You never know.
Yeah, we'll see. He's 31, so
not like.
But just a bullpen arm, and I don't even think they're going to keep him long. I think he's just a placeholder. So Cruz is already replaced, but let's say he doesn't get replaced, right? Then I would probably say it's Clayton Beeter that comes up. So because they have hinted at that. So Clayton Beeter would come up. And then you have another one. I think Austin Wells is going to have to go on IL. That does not sound good. Yeah, my fingers turn different colors and they get cold. That's not good.
He's basically telling us also that it's a pain tolerance thing. It's that, hey, this does happen. It's just part of the job. Repeated contact. Maybe it's happened to the Molinas. Like, this is something they've dealt with. Okay, well, when your finger's changing colors and you're also hitting 200, should I necessarily rush you back into the lineup? No, you're going on the IL.
And not making excuses for his lack of play, but, so...
Shouldn't he go on the IL? You're a 200 hitter right now, and you're not. Your finger is another color.
This is where it gets interesting. Right, Gary? Because if he goes on the IL, they have 2 catchers already. They don't necessarily need to call up Jesus Rodriguez. I'd like to see it. They don't necessarily need to. He's on the 40-man roster. You got B-Boss who's sitting there if they want to get more depth in the infield. You got Shoemake, who I don't know why he's on the 40-man roster. He's hitting 118 in AAA, but
118.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not 118 in AAA. It's never mind. It's 118 for his career. Anyway,
it's even worse.
So yeah, and then you got Brian De La Cruz, who's also on the 40-man roster in the outfield, and Everson Pereira. So those are your options. I'm going to ask you, Gary. We've already figured out Pereira. He's going to get called up for Grisham. Whatever. The reliever, we have no idea. But who would you call up to replace Austin Wells if he sees the IL for this? Jesus Rodriguez Braden Shoemake,
I've got it.
B-Boss, or De La Cruz?
I'm going to go with B-Boss. So when he went down, you were mentioning this before we went live that this potentially was a candidate. Now, I love the at-bats. I think all of us did. He was taking great at-bats, right? He was taking on at-bats against some of the game's best pitchers. You saw the at-bat he had with Suarez, and he was competing. That's what we want to see, but he still wasn't making great contact at the time. Went down to the minor leagues. He made a few tweaks to his stance and his swing, and they're saying that he's getting great results. Now, for me, bringing in a player not at catcher allows Ben Rice to play, get more in the mix at catcher. It sort of solves that problem for me, and I don't have to force him over at first base. I still get the glove with Goldschmidt at first. But also, if Bivas is here, it also provides me the opportunity to throw him in the lineup instead of a DJ LeMahieu. Maybe get a little bit more athletic. I don't hate what DJ's doing, but you are still hitting 235. You're not hitting homers. You're fielding your position, but you don't have a ton of range. If Bivas could hit, right, that last step for that player, the Yankees actually could benefit from him in a major way. He's not going to be Jose Altuve by any stretch, but his skill set can help this team. So I probably choose him. I'm looking at Rodriguez, given our roster and who we have there, and healthy as well. I'm probably trading Rodriguez, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel like they look at him as anything more than just a AAA player. He's 23. He's a solid catcher, can play third. He's hit 307 over the course of his whole career. That's 1,200 at-bats.
What do you think about this idea, by the way? So Devin with the super with the 5. Thank you, Devin. We really appreciate it. Says Jazz should play short, and obviously you've mentioned this before. Just the idea of him taking a flyer at shortstop. He's done it before. Not great. He wasn't very good at it, but he's done it. And putting JC Escara at third base. Now, we saw JC over there in an emergency, right? We didn't love seeing that after the ejection of Jazz Chisholm. What do you think about that idea? I probably don't touch it personally. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's tough because, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I watched him play third much, when he was in the minors. I know he got some burn at third. Actually, he got a decent amount of it in 2024, played 145 innings, only had one error, but I don't know. It's a different animal, but this is an interesting player because he played first. He played a lot of innings at first. He played a lot of innings at catcher, but he also played in the outfield. He was DH and third base. So he's a little bit of a utility guy here that I don't think is really talked about. But personally, I don't look at Escara like, yeah, I want him to play third. And also, you got to be careful because while the Yankees do have a surplus of catchers, talk about Jesus Rodriguez, you talk about Rafael Flores. If Escara goes down, now Ben Rice has to be your everyday catcher. And I don't know if you necessarily want him to have to play catcher every day. I think it's more so you're trying to get him in the running to play. I mean, personally, I do want Ben Rice to play catcher because it keeps him in the lineup. I don't have to worry about him. But I'm saying most people probably don't want that. The point is, now Ben Rice not only catches every day, but who's behind him? If Escara goes down, because you have him at third now, if Escara goes down, well, now it's Ben Rice, it's Jesus Rodriguez, and you have Rafael Flores who's raking in Double-A, but he might not be ready. And what does this do, Gary? I'll tell you what this does. It puts pressure on you now knowing you can't trade any of these guys now. Your idea of trading away Jesus Rodriguez goes out the window if there's another injury at catcher. So that's why that stuff matters, because these are essentially or you could get Alex Jackson, who's not very good, and he's starting in AAA. But the point being is that they have options right now and they have a surplus. But all of a sudden, if injuries start to pile up, that surplus is going to be gone. So that's how I look at it. But yeah, it's really...
I mean, to be fair, Brian Cashman also can flip someone a prospect and say, well, I trust this guy behind the plate. He's not going to hit a lick. You always have options, especially for us, being that we're a high-prize organization. We're able to spend money and solve problems in the offseason. You can solve something. A short-term issue, we can fix that. We just can. I like this. JC did look terrified at third base. I don't know if it just... He looked terrified. out
He's
there.
like, all right, don't hit it over to me.
He did. And Reem with the super with the 2 says, can we send Volpe to Iran? Yeah. It's obviously, it's not been.
We're getting canceled.
Good. It's not good. No, being canceled is phony. Phony baloney.
I know. It's more so using it as a joke.
Yeah. Golden Spation with the 2 says Lombard will be at the Futures game. Hope he mashes. We're all very excited about him. But what I will say, this is my conclusion on any prospect out the Yankee system. Show me that you can rake at the level that you're at before asking me to get excited about you at the next level. That's all I ask. Don't show me any videos of a player hitting home runs at some dirt lot field and saying he's Mickey Mantle. Show me what he can do on the baseball field. That's all I want to see. Show me he can put up numbers, and then I'm going to try to fit that into the organization at the big league level. So I'm excited about him. Not because people were saying, could he move to second? Are the Yankees going to give him reps at third? Do you remember that conversation? George Lombard Jr. is hopefully the future of the Yankees at shortstop. We hope that this is a future, can't say star, they don't come around very often, but a highly, highly productive player. Someone that you can say, this guy may be a great player at the shortstop position. I mean, we're due now.
Yeah, you know what's funny right now? I have a new player, I mean, aside from Spencer Jones and all that, I'm focused on, and it is Rafael Flores. I think what he's doing is very much, it garners interest.
And sure. What's different? Like, why? Because obviously, like, Lombard's super young, he was performing, but still lower in the minor league system. Like, what is it about him that's different?
Because I think they like Ascara for this year. They just fell in love with him. Probably like the person, they just loved him. That they really liked. Remember, we heard this. They really liked Narvaez, and they just felt like they had too much, right? Well, I think Flores, who's 24 right now, he has an 838 OPS, 816 for his career in the minors. He's starting to put the ball in the seats. 13 home runs this year. I think he's kind of the next catcher to look out for. Like, I could see them trading Ascara next year during the offseason. Keep an eye on Flores. This guy's either going to get packaged in a pretty decent deal, or he's going to be a part of the Yankees next year. That's what I think.
I mean, I definitely hope that he can. I mean, I like there's nothing better for any team. This includes the Dodgers, as much money as they spend. Nothing better can happen for your organization than developing a player, him being a great player, or somebody who's at the very least a starter who can help you win, because it's the cheapest thing that can happen. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Why should I give a rip about how cheap these guys are? Well, you saw earlier when people were complaining about our budget. It was the first thing people talked about. Budget, budget, budget. Well, what helps with a budget is paying an asset you can control for 5 to 7 years, less than $1 million a year. And yes, arbitration will kick them up past that, but look at Anthony Volpe's salary right now. It's like he's basically out there for free. They make all that money back in the first 10 games of the year. So this helps you land free agents. You guys want to go get a Kyle Tucker? Some of these prospects need to hit. Ben Rice, you want him to land. You want some of these guys to overtake a Paul Goldschmidt, who cost us $10.5 million, actually $12 million this year. So, yeah, I'm excited about some of these prospects. We'll see how the Yankees apply them, what type of runway they're given, because we know with this organization, they don't like to give them much runway. There's a lot of platoon action going around. Even when they perform, they tend to yo-yo them off the field. I hope that's not the case with this guy. I'm not even going to say he'll be at the big league roster, but I wish him the best. But I want to get to this.
He's a righty, by the way, so it would be,
okay.
Because they have a bunch of lefty catchers.
Yeah, I'm not in love with catchers to begin with as prospects.
Yeah, no,
I've been saying this. I just think catchers don't last. I mean, you literally saw what happened with Rauschman. People thought he's going to be the future MVP of this league. He's honestly not even a good player right now at this point.
Well, what did I tell you off air? They put too much stock into framing. I think that they focus way too much on framing, and I think they've kind of strayed away from the fundamentals.
But also what he does offensively, right? Some of these
that's
catchers,
what I'm saying. They're obsessed with framing. I think they put.
What does framing?
I think they put more of an emphasis on framing with a catcher than anything else nowadays.
But I mean, he stopped hitting, so he literally can't hit.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Adley Rutschman, but I think the big thing, when I look at a guy like Flores, he's got reverse splits and he's a right-handed bat at catcher, and he's big, he's 6'4", all of that. Like there's definitely a diversified approach there because he's also 24. So while some people would say, wow, he's old, like 24 in the minors, but JC Escarra's 30. So I actually think Escarra is going to get traded after the year. And I think Flores, if he's not traded this deadline, I think he's got a legitimate shot. And again, the reverse splits get me excited because I just looked through his splits, and yeah, he's a right-handed bat that can hit over 800 OPS against lefty and righty. So they don't currently have a catcher that's like Bellinger, right? They don't have a catcher that can hit against a lefty and a righty. They don't have a catcher like Jazz. They don't have reverse splits right now at catcher. So I think that would definitely help them. And I just say keep an eye on him. But
yeah, pretty much everyone's like, oh, we need this prospect to face a lefty to be good because he's a righty. I'm like, are you guys kidding me right now? The average guy he faces a righty. Doesn't make sense.
Well, do you remember when the Yankees didn't have like lefties and now they have too many lefties and they're always telling us how many lefties they have?
Well, yeah, because they had like Luke Voigt, Gary Sanchez, and the list went on. It was a bunch of righty power guys who would hit 211 and they'd strike out a ton. They'd break records. We'd fight with the Twins. So who's going to hit more home runs this year? No one cared except for us, apparently. And then we get to October, and then they were cold as a damn ice chest. They couldn't hit anything. That brand of baseball. I'm glad it was here and died.
What
it
is
was a horrible.
What is this super chat?
Oh, did we get another?
Roman, appreciate you, but man.
Oh, this. Iran's a hot spot right now.
I know they're getting to everybody.
I'm going to go to Costco, see if they have any bundles to get me there. So Roman with the 5 says, DJ is making me watch less and less Yankees games. Please send him to Iran. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Wild. Yeah. But let's get to our picks because, today was just a bummer. It really was. We got hurt.
Not the live stream.
Right. We were fundamentally dumb. We weren't thinking the game. We enjoy watching Jazz when he's playing well, but then we also saw Jazz try to bunt. It was a frustrating game. It was a game we shouldn't have lost, but ultimately when you lose a game, more times than not, somehow, some way you deserve to lose that game. I genuinely believed, and you talked about it before we went live, Jake. You said the Blue Jays hardly left the infield today. It wasn't a ton of hard contact. Awful. And I said, if you lose to a team that barely leaves the infield, and of course they did, like Vladdy hit a double the other way, like we get that, but they weren't hitting the ball into the upper deck 2 or 3 times. You guys should have won this game, and you know what? The fact that you lost it, you deserve to lose. You guys blew it.
Yeah. So tomorrow, the Yankees are going to be facing Kevin Gausman, who I feel like they face all the time, whether he's
Isn't
in the
he the
NL
one
or
Judge
not.
Struggles against? Am I correct?
I thought he's the one Judge obliterates, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Can we pull those numbers up because it will matter? I'm
trying to find. Yeah, I think I found him. Okay, so well, first let's do that.
Could have sworn he like really struggled against Gausman.
No, you have it backwards. I had a feeling.
Ranks.
Oh, dude, I am so picking Judge. I'm picking Judge to homer tomorrow. Judge has a 341 batting average and a 1,300 OPS against Gausman in 52 plate appearances.
Oh, so his normal numbers?
Yeah. So he's literally just Aaron Judge against this guy. I'm taking Judge to go long. Well, the only issue, Gary, is that Schneider has already shown that he's going to intentionally walk him. I think it's risky. But screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm going to go yard with Judge. And normally I do total bases. I'm just going to go yard with Judge.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going Jason Dominguez. Jason Dominguez, I think all of us have sort of projected the idea.
He's one at bat against him, so there's not a lot of familiarity on Kevin Gausman's part.
No clue what's going to happen. It has nothing to do with anything that's happened in the past. But there's something to be said for a young 22-year-old asset that you're going to play who no longer believes. He knows for a fact when he shows up to the yard tomorrow that he should be playing. I will most likely be starting tomorrow. There's not really any other reason I wouldn't. So I believe this, if you want to know when Jason Dominguez is going to show you his potential, I believe it starts tomorrow. I do. So I'm excited just to watch him. And do I think he's going to hit a homer? No. But do I think he's going over 1.5 total bases with Profit X, obviously using code YanksU? I do.
I love that. Yeah, I think Jason Dominguez goes over. And
I'm a corporate man now.
Oh, man. We got a right-hander on the mound. Those of you who don't know that Gosman's a right-hander. Max Fried is on the mound for the Yankees. So I'm going to go with the Yankee win. And I'm going to go with an Aaron Judge home run. You said Jason Dominguez. Let's throw one more out there. Giancarlo Stanton total bases has 1,000 OPS against Gosman, 2 homers, 318 batting average. I think Judge and Stanton have a day tomorrow.
Yeah, Fried might be really in the thick of a conversation for Cy Young. I mean, even with what Tarek Skubal's doing, I mean, what happens if Fried wins 23 games? I mean, you got to respect that as well. No,
it's true. I probably should have shown it on here. I'm going to stay away from strikeouts. I'm going to stay away from strikeouts because Rodon should have had the strikeouts today, and the Jays are patient. So also that umpire was an atrocity beyond all measure. So
you can actually argue we can take the under on Ks with Fried. The Blue Jays do put the ball in play. The bottom of the lineup is butt cheeks, but the top of their lineup puts the ball in play. Maybe we can say that the Yankees are going to win tomorrow. They should.
I'm not going against Fried. But
I don't even feel like that's going against him. I don't feel that way. I just think the way he's going to get his outs tomorrow is going to be more economical. He's probably, I'm going to say Fried is going to surprise some people. I'm going to call 7+ innings tomorrow. I think he's going to go into the 8th and come off the mound.
I'm going to take the Yankees. Well, no, I'm going to take the over on total runs in the first inning. I think we see a bomb from Aaron Judge to start off the day. So that's, yeah, I like that.
That'd be nice. And then what should we have them put in the comment section?
We should have them put in the comments section. How about this? Okay. Just very simply put, okay. Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez. No context. I just want to know who you like more.
Okay. I mean, I'd probably go. I mean, I don't even know. I feel like Jason Dominguez. Spencer Jones is hitting minor league pitching still. So
yeah.
I'd probably roll with Jason Dominguez, but maybe he gets here. He can actually field fly balls at a league average or something better than that. Maybe it's something better. We have no idea. So I'd probably roll with Dominguez, but make sure you guys are subscribed and hit that bell so you're notified. I've been getting a ton of messages that people say, oh, I didn't know you were live till 45 minutes in. Make sure you hit the bell. It should, in theory, give you a notification on your phone. And, of course, make sure you guys like the video.